Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I will demonstrate how to select a pattern in the Brother KH-900 electronic knitting machine. This machine has already inbuilt patterns inside, and they are all 50 stitches long. It's pretty convenient because you just have to select the number of the pattern you want to work with and start working. The one I'm going to demonstrate is Fair Isle, and it uses two color, main yarn and contrast yarn. So I will explain everything in this video, just what pertains to how to select the pattern already inbuilt. I'm not going to show how to enter a new pattern. Actually, this machine gives you the option to enter your own patterns and record them in the little computer. So if you have a different electronic machine, refer to the manual. If it's a Brother, it will pretty much work the same. The only thing that changes is the buttons look slightly different, but for the most part, it works the same way. So let's get to it, shall we? There's something very important you need to do before you start working on your pattern, and that is to set the end needle selection mechanism to on. Is usually in on-off when you're knitting normal. So the way you do it is you change this knob from normal to KC, and I'll show you why. If you flip over your carriage, there's a pink like arrow like thing on each side of the carriage. So that is the needle selection mechanism. So if I change the change knob from N to KC, that will push these pink arrows up and you will be able to see them better. So let's change it, see how you can see them better, and see how in the middle there's a black dot. That's actually a little screw. And what you do is you're gonna use this tool that has an eyelet or an eye, and you're gonna use it as a screwdriver. So your screw should be like on 12 o'clock. See? My tool is sideways, so it's 12 o'clock. So the way you're going to turn it on, so the right one, you're in the middle. So the right one, you're going to turn it all the way to the right until it stops. See, there's a stop. And that's the left one. The right one, you put your screwdriver or tool, you put it is in the middle. So you're going to turn it to the left all the way up until it stops. So since we just put the mechanism on, but we're not gonna start working on our pattern right away, so I'm gonna put it back to normal. All right, I already cast on 25 stitches on each side of the number 0 in the middle. Knitted several rows with waste yarn and then 10 rows with main yarn. The first thing we're going to do is to turn on the machine. This is my on button. So this isn't the last row I had last time, so I will push the pattern number button. It's over here. See how this light is flashing now? And what it's telling me is the last pattern I used or I selected was 12. So last time I worked in pattern 12, and the machine will keep recorded the last selection. So in order to change that, I'm going to use the up and down arrows here. And this time I will pick the pattern number 10. So I'm going to go down with this arrow until I hit 10. And to save it, I will push the pattern number button again. And if you notice, it brings me to row number 1 because there's where I'm going to start. So to make sure that I really selected my pattern, it might have not worked. So I want to make sure, how do I do that? So to confirm, what you're going to do is you're going to press the pattern number button again, and it will show you the pattern. And when this is flashing, it's telling you that it's showing you the pattern. So the pattern is 10. So we're fine. we're gonna push the button again, and we know we're ready to go, right? We're gonna work one row because we need to have our carriage on our left side. This is my main yarn. I already had it ready, so I'm just gonna knit one row, and look at that. I need to bring my carriage to the turn point, and I'll show you where that is. So let me move the carriage all the way down. So here is the turn point. I don't know if you can see it. I'm gonna wait for the camera to focus on it. This latch here, the entire machine has to be past this point. It has like a dash and then an arrow going back. Okay, I could manage to zoom in. So if you see it has like a dash, well, it's like a symbol that is telling you that the carriage should stop there, but it has a turn arrow. You have to have your carriage past that point, and that will be just for the first row of your Fair Isle pattern. Let's say if the pattern is 50 rows, then you're just gonna do it the very first row. Then if you keep going with your pattern, you don't have to do it again. But let's say you want to finish your pattern after the 50 rows. You want to knit some stockinette stitch rows in between. Then when you start the pattern again, you're gonna do the same thing just for the first row. This is for this particular machine, as I said before. I'm pretty sure brother machines pretty much work the same way. I have actually for electronic machines the cheap alternative. I have the one that is easier to use and has less patterns, but it works so beautifully for me. I love this machine. Let me turn the camera around again, and we'll start with our first row. Our pattern is already programmed, so I'm gonna thread my contrast yarn into the left yarn tension mast, and there's a little spring called take up spring, and that spring is gonna help us to keep the tension. So let me move the camera so you can see the take up screen. So you can see the take up spring, and as you can see here, I already thread my contrast yarn. Is this green? So to thread your mast, just refer to your manual again, and this is the take up spring. See, it's resting on the mast, and you never use it unless it's for Fair Isle. So I have it threaded here already, and what this is gonna do when the carriage pulls the yarn, it will create extra tension that will help us maintain the necessary tension for our Fair Isle pattern. All right, let me figure out the camera angle again so you can see everything I'm doing. That's the trickiest part of this process, is trying to show you everything that happens in a metal bed that is so long. Is sometimes very hard to do. So you see that there, you can see my let me lower the camera. You can see the carriage here. So I'm gonna pass the carriage all the way down, and he's going to select the needles. Notice that I just thread the contrast yarn. I haven't threaded in the machine yet, in the feeder of the carriage. So that I will do after this row is completed. At this point, we're gonna change the change knob from normal in to KC. What this is gonna do is the machine is going to engage a metal belt that is inside here, and this metal belt has different hole sizes, and those are the ones that actually select the needles. Without that, we're not gonna be able to select needles. The machine wouldn't know what to do. You see, the machine selected all the needles needed to knit the pattern. So this is what we wanted. This is what the belt did. So you see that it still says 1 here, but this will change soon. So note, oh, I almost jumped the gun. So there are 2 more steps you have to do before you continue, and that is you have to push. Let me move the camera again. You see how it says MC there? This is the button you need to push to tell the machine to work in the pattern. This is what, I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it helps the change of colors going back and forth. So you're gonna push the button, but the top one, or both of them. I used to mistakenly push both of them, and I couldn't see the design. The machine didn't know what to do. I think both of them is for tuck stitch. No, here's tuck stitch. So I'm not sure. I haven't gotten that far. So when I do, I'll post a video and I'll let you know. So the first one, the one on top, you push that one in, and then you will change. You will add your contrast yarn. See how you can thread the yarn when you open this little door? This is the main yarn, and it has an A pointing that way. For the contrast yarn, you're gonna put it in the B part, and you see here that there's a B and an arrow this way, so the yarn is gonna remain in the middle. So let me do that. So you will keep the main yarn because the machine will keep using it. So this is my contrast yarn, so I'm gonna push it straight, and it will be in the middle, if you notice there. All right, and after you've done that, then you're ready to go. Also, don't forget to put your weights, your claw weights, as close as you can without interfering with the carriage, because you will need tension. So we're ready to go. Another thing I wanted to tell you is I used lace yarn. Is very thin, so I kept my machine in 5, the tension dial, but you're gonna have to play with your tension dial depending on what type of yarn you're using, and that's very important too, because then your piece can come out sloppy or too loose, too tight, and that will cause you problems. Remember that this method keeps the floats in the back of the yarn, so you will need to be mindful of that. Let me push this in, and here we go. Wish me luck. And voila, there's our second row. You see how it changed in our counter up there? Now we're in number 2. So, and I'm gonna keep this going in this way. See how the needles change at every row? I'm up to 5. This is number 6, 7. So since this is very noisy, and my pattern, the pattern I picked, number 10, is consists of 28 rows, that's gonna take a while. So let me knit all the way down to my last row, and I'll come back, okay? Okay, I already worked 27 rows. My pattern has 28. So I will have to finish this row, bring my carriage from the right to the left, and I will hear a beep noise when when the last row is completed, and that will tell me that is the last one. So let's do it so you can see it better, And here I go. This is my 27. Did you hear that? I went really slow so you could hear that beep noise, and that's telling me that this is my last row. It says 28 there. So I finished that one, and now I'm gonna go back from the left to the right, and my screen will have to change to 1, and I will know then that the machine is ready to start a new pattern or start the pattern again. At that point, I can make a decision if I want to keep going with the pattern or if I want to knit several rows of stockinette stitch in between. So see, in this case, since I want to show you the end result, I will finish here, and I'm going to put 10 rows in stockinette stitch, just like the bottom, so I can take the work out of the machine and you can see the design. So here we go, last one. Number 1, we're done. If I decide to keep going, I leave everything as it is. But since in this case I will stop, I'm done with the pattern, I will go back to my regular knitting. So there's a couple of things I need to do. First of all, put the change knob from KC to N, because I'm going to start knitting normal. I don't need the pattern mode anymore, and that will push out the middle button that we pushed in the MC button before. All right, here we go. All right, that means that the metal belt was released and the machine will not select more needles. And another thing I need to do is to take out my contrast yarn, and all I do is, I don't have to do anything, just push it through. I'll cut it right here, so I just pull it. And I'm done with. If I keep going, oh, I just lost it. If I were to keep going, then I'll leave it on the machine. If not, well, I can take it out as I wish. It's not a big deal. So I like my pins, and I'm gonna secure the tail with them. I think my claw weights are still good. Everything looks fine, and now I'm going to put my counter, my row counter. I'm gonna change it to 10 again. And I'm gonna need 10 rows in stockinette stitch. Notice how the needles went back to normal. No needles are selected anymore. Let me put up my claw weights. It's always important to keep your claw weights up. And at this point, I can break my main yarn and thread my waste yarn and finish the work. I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to need several rows. And I'm going to take the work off the machine. I think I'm good. Break my waste yarn. Take off my claw weights. And my cast on comb. Hold the work down. Take it out. And Voila! Here you have it. I love what it looks like. It's beautiful. I probably could have used tighter tension, probably in 4, but I actually like it this way. It's very cute. It's very well made. You can totally see the design. It wasn't easy. You have to practice, but at the end it's very rewarding. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel.